last week I started I know it's kind of personal, but I started my presser with talking about Mark Zardes, my friend. He's doing much better, but unfortunately my father-in-law went in the hospital this past week. So he's a great man. I hope, praying for he and my mother-in-law, my wife and her family, but yeah, it's crazy, all this stuff that goes on. I know a lot of our fans deal with stuff every day, and I know football is a great kind of a reprieve from all that, but it's real life. It's the bottom line. That's all that matters is family and faith and that sort of thing. But for football wise, and it's a big weekend for us, and try to help our fans out and go up to New England and get a win.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go into questions. The first one will be from Marla Ridenour.
Yeah, Coach, just curious about the return game with Dimitri on the, you don't know if you're going to have him. Just how are you going to cope there?
We've got several guys we've worked with, all summer, all season long. You guys see us do it right after stretch every day. We do punt returns, kickoff returns, and then we do it after practice too. I know you guys aren't there for that, but we work a lot of guys every single day just for this reason. You never know in our game today, whether it's an injury or COVID or whatever the case may be. Hopefully Dimitri will be there, but we're just not sure.
And the guys on the depth chart, would they move up, you think, or is it still wide open on who would do it without him?
To me, it's wide open. It depends on who we're going to have on Sunday, who's going to be active, who's going to be inactive. Coach Stefanski and I and Andrew Bear, we've been talking about that all week, and we're going to continue to talk about it. And honestly, don't want to say who it probably will be. To be honest, I don't want to give New England a leg up on anything. So right now, it's a wide open.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Next is Dan Lobby.
Hey, Coach. We've asked you a lot about Jamie Gillen, and it seems like he's sort of, I don't know if stabilized is the right word, but he's been much better for you guys over the last few weeks. What have you seen from him kind of over the last 4 or 5 weeks?
The last week, first two punts were excellent. The last punt, and I know the game was out of reach and they had no chance to come back under 2 minutes left and we're up by a bunch, but you still want to go out and perform at a high level. And I know he and I were both disappointed on that last punt. We did pop it loose. Taki had a nice hit and popped the ball loose. Would have been great to get a recovery there. But at the end of the day, that's sort of, we're not going to be up by 25 points in the fourth quarter. Like you hope you are, but that's not the NFL. So, we got to encourage Jamie to continue to stay focused throughout the entire game and continue to perform at a high level, no matter what the situation. And that's been my message to him this week. I think he has punted better. I'm proud of the way he's bounced back for some early season struggles, but we just got to continue going and ascending in that direction.
And then just generally, I know you guys went through a lot of this stuff last year with COVID and the protocols and all that, but how have you seen guys kind of handle sort of on the fly having to go back into some of this stuff this week?
It was amazing. A couple of guys even said they like virtual meetings better. Maybe they don't want to look at me. Maybe they like sitting on their couch at home and doing the meetings, but I think they haven't skipped a beat. Yesterday's meetings were good. I had high energy, a lot of questions. Practice yesterday, our walkthroughs, everything we did on the field to me was excellent. Not perfect. There's a lot of things we got to get coached up to get ready for a great football team. I think they're really good on special teams, New England. But at the end of the day, the energy was good. The attention was great. They didn't even skip a beat. So, and I think that's, starts with Kevin and the leadership of our players in the locker room on down to everybody, to the rookies, to all us coaches that, no matter what happens, no matter what is thrown our way, we've handled it. We did it last year. We'll continue to handle it this year, and hopefully we can get out of these intensive protocols. But if we stay there, we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dan. We'll go to Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, thanks, Coach. The media doesn't skip a beat either in this town. They've got a perfectly named special teamer in Gunner. What does that guy do so well on punt returns?
Man, is he good. He took a shot last week and, I think he was in concussion protocols this week, but he's a tough kid. He's going to play. We're going to plan on him playing. He's very courageous. He comes up and he catches every punt, does not want to fair catch anything. He's aggressive. He's got good ball security. He makes the first guy miss. He tries to run people over, even though he's not a real big guy. He plays big. I have a lot of respect for Gunner. He's done a great job, did a great job last year. He started off this year just as good or better. So we've got our work cut out for him. We've got to do a great job of containing him, closing the net and coverage around him, make sure he doesn't get to the edge. He doesn't hit anything downhill because everything he does is full speed, and he's a very aggressive, good player.
Yeah, we had a good angle last week to be able to watch your guys' kick coverage. And I was watching Taki in particular. Is he one of those guys, Mike, that he's just got kind of an innate ability to make guys miss and really, find his way to the ball?
That's a great question, because last year he did not do that. He was not quite as effective on kickoff coverage. Now, not that he wasn't trying, but he kept getting blocked at the 25, 30-yard line, was having trouble getting off the block. So my challenge to him all off season, all training camp, and during this, first 9 weeks of the year was, you got to go. You got to make that first guy miss. You got a little head and shoulder fake. He's athletic enough to do that. He's fast enough to get by people. He's certainly strong enough to get off those blockers when he needs to. So Taki's done a great job. Elijah Lee, Mac Wilson, the linebacker core have done a phenomenal job. Our safeties, our corners, our receivers, running backs, fullbacks, tight ends, they've all stepped up and done a nice job for us this year in the kickoff coverage game. We need to apply what we've done on kickoff to punt coverage. There's been 2 decent returns against us the last 2 weeks that I know New England's looking at, and they're chomping at the bit. I really think we got to do a better job in punt coverage this week and on through the rest of the year.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tom. Mary Kay Cabot, you're up.
Hey, Mike, just wondering about ever since he was here in Cleveland, Bill Belichick made, just a huge commitment to special teams. And I'm just wondering is, the way that he's done it all of these years and just how they put forth so much effort into it. Is that something that you've had, admired throughout your career and maybe even patterned some of what you do after?
I've always admired Coach Belichick. I think he is obviously his success, speaks for itself. But I knew his father, Steve Belichick. Steve used to coach at the Naval Academy when I went to school there. He was working in the phys ed department and kind of a part-time coach at the time. And even when I started my coaching career, I got very close with Coach Belichick's dad, and just a great man and great football coach and great person. But I've always admired what Coach Bill's done and everything that he's accomplished, and whether it's special teams, offense, defense. The great thing he's done, he does better than most, is that his situational football is incredible. His complementary football and the emphasis he puts on complementary football is something that I've tried to emulate in my career, and learning from the good coaches that I've worked with and worked for. And we used to work with Mike Sweatman. Coach Sweatman retired several years ago, and I was his assistant in New York for a couple of years, and I learned a lot. And he worked with Coach Belichick with the Giants when they were winning Super Bowls, when Coach Parcells was in charge. But I've learned a lot from Coach Sweatman, and a lot of what I do is based off of Coach Sweat and my father have the 2 biggest influences on my career, special teams wise. And a lot of that comes from Coach Belichick.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Scott Petrick has our next question.
Hey, Mike, how close did John Kelly come to blocking that punt last year?
It was a great get. Yeah, great get off, great want to. And I put him in that spot because on the show punt return unit, he gives us fits when he was on the practice squad. He's really good at rushing punts. And, I told him if he was my height, he would have blocked the ball. He got mad at me. I'm only 5'11". I think I was teasing him about being about 5'6", but I know he's taller than that. But he did a great job and put a lot of pressure on the punter there, and the guy shanked it out of bounds. And, we got to keep doing that to these punters, because we can't let good punters stand back there, like a Kevin Huber and like the young man we play this weekend, Bailey. They sit back there and they have time. They've got a great opportunity to hit a big ball. So we got to keep pressuring punters throughout the rest of the year.
And kind of following up on what Mary Kay asked you, is it different when you play a Bill Belichick coach team just because it's Bill and he's won all those Super Bowls and he is who he is?
It's just one game, and it's every season is different. The thing that sets them apart is, like I said to Mary Kay, that when I answered her question about the complementary football, so the situational football, you have to be ready for everything. They do such a great job fundamentally. They've got 3 or 4 really good veteran players that they rely on. That are basically coaches on the field. They got a 14-year veteran in Matt Slater. They got a 10-year veteran in Justin Bethel. They got, they have other guys that have been in the league for a long time that, Jamie Collins is playing on special teams. He does a good job on punt return. So they've got some good veteran players that are coaches on the field, and that's what they've emphasized over the years. And that's why one of the reasons why they've been so successful on special teams.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Scott. Tony Grossi, you're up.
Okay. Hi, Mike.
Thanks,
2 things. One, follow up off of that, the Belichick situationally. He's got an offense that struggles to score points this year, and he's finding himself in the heat of the playoff battle now. I've seen him do things on special teams out of the blue. How high alert are you this week on something unique on special teams from him?
Like most teams, we're always going to be on high alert. We probably practice against fakes and surprise onsides and different types of situations more than a lot of teams do. And maybe that takes away with some of the other stuff we can do in the return game, or whatever. But I think it's important, like stopping a fake like we did against Pittsburgh, or like we did last year against the Giants, or whatever situation arises. We're going to be sound in everything that we do. And a lot of that is because New England is such a sound team. You have to play sound against them, and you have to play smart against them. And you can be aggressive to a point, but if you're overly aggressive, or if you make a mistake and you don't have guys covered on their punt team, you can give up a fake. So you're absolutely right, Tony. Everything we do with our game plan is going in with the fact that we're going to be sound first, and then we're going to be aggressive second.
My other question is, we saw pick 6 by Denzel Ward last week, and it got me thinking, the art of a TD return all over the league is down. I think there've been 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. I don't know if there's been a punt return for touchdown. What is your feeling about the state of the return game? Have they legislated it to make it impossible to return kicks?
Well, I don't think it's impossible. I think it's more difficult. A lot of teams are kicking touchbacks. They've encouraged touchbacks, even though we get the ball at the 25-yard line after a touchback, the offense does. I think it's just your mentality. And, we have forced returns all year because we like our kickoff team, and we have an opportunity to pin people inside the 20 or force turnovers when we do that. And that's kind of our mentality. A lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people are going to go ahead and kick the touchbacks, and they'll take the ball at the 25 for their defense or offense, whatever. But I think they've done a good job, because I think the injuries were starting to mount, and nobody likes kids getting hurt, players getting hurt on any phase, offense, defense, or special teams. But that's one of the reasons why they did it. And I think they keep the kickoff return in the game, which we need to. That's an exciting play, even though it's not quite as often as an exciting play. I think they need to keep it in the game. But one of the reasons they did legislate it is because of the injuries. And I think they've done a nice job of doing that.
What about
concussions?
What about punt returns? Why do you think there's a dearth of punt return touchdowns?
What happens is that these young punters, or any punters now, come in the league, and they're trying to force fair catches. They're kicking the ball out of bounds. They're going to give up a few yards on the net punt in order to limit your opportunities for a big return. And it depends. Like, we're playing the Gunner this weekend. I don't want to say his last name. I know he's a really good returner, but at the end of the day, he is as a guy that you don't want to outkick your coverage. You don't want to kick a 58-yarder with only a 4.3 hang time. You want to try to put it higher and shorter and give up maybe a few yards on the net, so you don't give him an opportunity for a big play. And I think that's what a lot of teams are doing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tony. We'll take 2 more. Nate Ulrich, Marla Reinauer. Nate.
Hey, Mike, I know last week you said that you thought, you had a bunch of professionals who are going to be focused with all the, Beckham stuff going on. And then, the team came out and probably played its most complete game of the season. And I'm just wondering right now, what do you think the valuable lesson that can be, carried forward from the locker room as a result of that?
It's the leadership in the locker room proved that they can, help these young guys get through anything, and they're going to do it again this week with the COVID stuff we got going on. So I love the leadership in our locker room. I love the enthusiasm. I love the buy-in to what Coach Stefanski and the rest of our staff has put together and has carried that through. So I'm excited about this weekend, because every week is different. Every week is new. And last week it was some different type of adversity. We got through it, and that's behind us. That's way behind us now. And now we can continue to move on. We're playing a great football team with playoff implications this weekend. And, we got to get after these guys if we're going to win this game. So the focus has to be there. And I thought we started well yesterday, and hopefully I'll continue today.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Nate. Final one, Marla.
When did Steve Belichick do like 1,000 sit-ups a day when you knew him?
No, I'd say a quick story about him. So when he was the phys ed instructor, he was very tough. So we would take what we called like a PRT, physical readiness test. And back then, I think it was a mile or mile and a half run, and he had like 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and you had to do pull-ups. I think it's push-ups now, but you had to do pull-ups. And unfortunately, I was a midshipman. I was a plebe freshman year. I looked down, Coach Belichick, Coach Steve is he's counting for me. If you didn't go all the way down and almost hyperextend your elbows and then try to go back up, he wouldn't count it. So I'm on like 5 or 6, and I looked down, he counted one of them. I said, Coach, he goes, you better go all the way up and all the way down. I said, Coach, I separated my shoulder, and I dislocated my elbow, and he still wouldn't count them. So he was a tough old guy. And I really enjoyed knowing him and getting to know him and his toughness and discipline. I learned a lot from him in the time I was around him.
He used to do that when Bill was here. He'd be working out on the side,
I
like
believe that.
crazy. Yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.